Hey everyone, it's Munkin FTW, and today in RCT3 we're going to make an Arrow Mega Looper. Now, if you don't know what an Arrow Mega Looper is, Arrow is a company, the full name is Aerodynamics, and they used to be very popular in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, and they used to make these early roller coasters with a lot of inversions. You can think of loopings, bat wings, corkscrews, of course. They were the first to use the corkscrew, and yeah, they identify themselves with very limited track layouts, nothing crazy, but still they have a special place in my heart and many other coaster enthusiasts. So today we're going to try and remake one of those, recreate one of those. So of course, right away, we're going to start off with the station. I'm going to build it a little higher than usual, and we're going to build the lift hill here. And I want to do a similar turnaround like the one you saw in the video. I believe that was either Viper or the Great American Scream Machine. And just like the video itself, these Arrow Mega Loopers are easily identified with the fact that they have these very awkwardly high loopings. They didn't make really big loopings like companies like Bolliger and Mabillard made when they tried their hands on a looping coaster. So they're really kind of small and very high up, and I'm trying to replicate that in this one as well. So I got 3 loops here. I'm going to come around here, and I want to make a mid-course brake run here. And after this, probably some corkscrews and then maybe a bat wing. But I'm just going to see how the train goes through these loopings to make sure it's not too slow, but also not too fast. So this is a little too slow for my taste. So I'm going to see if I can tweak it a little bit later. But here comes the mid-course brake run. And then we're going to go ahead into a banked turn. Again, I'm trying to make sure that the layout of the turns and everything is also quite simple, if you will, because Aerodynamics, they were, kind of the pioneers of roller coasters with like inversions and steel roller coasters. And yeah, the track design then was very limited. These days roller coasters are designed by computers, but Aerodynamics for a very long time did it just by, I believe, just by hand or something, like manually. No computers involved until they were very late in the company's timeline, and then very shortly after they went bankrupt, which is why you don't see any new aerodynamic coasters from Aerodynamics anymore. A bit of a shame, and some of them are still around. Like I believe it's Viper or Great American Scream Machine or a few others. I could be wrong here, but anyway, that's kind of the formula, if you will, of an Arrow Mega Looper. So Mega because it's just extra high compared to a regular looping roller coaster from Arrow. And it has probably more inversions, like 5 or 6. Now, normally a Mega Looper also has a bat wing or something else. I decided to just stick with those 2 corkscrews and then come around back to the station. So here I'm doing a little bit of tweaking because I want a bit more space for the station and the queue line and the exit. So I'm just going to move this entire section up 1 block, which seems like a big undertaking, if you will, but it's just a few minutes of fixing, and then I'll have just the right amount of space for the queue line as well. So this simple fix, just gonna make the same layout, but then 1 block further away. So there you go. That is the layout of the coaster done. I'm gonna speed up the footage because the rest is a little bit less exciting or tedious, and a little bit less exciting and more tedious, if you will. So I'm just gonna speed up the footage here. I'm gonna figure out the queue line and of course the exit, and I'm checking already with these looping supports to see if the queue line kind of sits in the way of these supports, but it kind of works here. So I'm going to of course do the classic thing, which is have paths that go under the corkscrews, so guests can look up as the roller coaster is traveling over the path, which is a very iconic thing you see in several corkscrew roller coasters, including Corkscrew and Cedar Point. And I'm going to make a path all around the roller coaster. And again, and this is the main focus is not the path or the scenery, so it's going to be pretty basic. But I want there to be something around the roller coaster. I don't want it to be just one bland field. So let's go ahead and kill the supports. Now, another iconic feature of these Arrow Mega Loopers is the fact that the support structure was kind of, I'd say, archaic or Spartan. There was a lot of like straight beams. It wasn't like these super sleek and simple supports that you see on a B&M or an Intamin Hyper coaster or something like that. It was a bit old school, so I'm kind of sticking with that formula and using like these boxy kind of supports which are made of just these steel girders, which you also saw in the beginning. So it kind of resembles an old school Arrow Mega Looper from that time. So we're going to go ahead and do that for the entire lift hill and of course the first drop and a few other pieces as well. So here I'm just going to use the diagonal girders, if you will. This is all with the add-on JCat Steelworks, of course, and I'm using pre-made designs because else you'd have to place all these separate girders, which would take an eternity. But the pre-save option saves a lot of time. So here we go. We're going to add these looping supports, which look really nice. I think they one of the nice things about JCat Steelworks. So that's why I still use it to this day, even though Moby Steel Jungle is the preferred choice for supports most of the time. But still, JCat Steelworks still has its place. So I'm going to also use these steel girders for the high loops, which is exactly also what you see in some Arrow Mega Loopers of that time. And I'm also going to use the thicker support beams or support pillars, if you will, from Moby Steel Jungle. And that's because, again, these older roller coasters, the supports were not as sleek and as efficient or whatever. And you see that these older roller coasters, like the Arrow Mega Looper or some like hyper coasters that Arrow Dynamics made, they have these much thicker steel support beams or support girders, if you will. And yeah, it looks a little bit less sleek and modern, but that's the look I'm going for. It needs to be kind of old school, and it needs to match the support structure of an actual Arrow Mega Looper. So I'm going to use some pre-saved designs from Moby Steel Jungle, because the side support, if you will, that will be accommodated with some smaller beams, if you will. I'm not sure if that's super realistic, but I think that's kind of how it was in the Arrow Mega Looper. So I'm just gonna reposition these a little bit better so that the pre-saved designs, I can actually fit them in between, if you will, or fit them onto the main support girders. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those, and yeah, I think it actually looks quite nice. Again, it looks a little bit bulky, if you will, but again, that's exactly the kind of design that I'm looking for when it comes to an old school roller coaster. It's all a bit less sleek, a bit less state of the art, if you will, but that's the look I'm going for, and I think that's being able to pull that off quite well. So yeah, we're definitely trucking along. I have some pre-saved support designs for the corkscrews. Now I know that the corkscrews, the older ones at least, they have this very intricate metal support that goes all over the corkscrew, and I believe there used to be a mod that had those supports in RCT3, but I can't find it anymore. So maybe someone in the comment section can direct me towards that, but for now I'm just going to use kind of my own fabricated supports. It doesn't look great. And now for this lower section, if you will, I am going to use the thinner supports, because this section doesn't need super thick supports. It's, because it's very low to the ground, so I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to place this a little bit better. And yeah, it's starting to look quite nice. I'm going to use some side supports again to, make it a bit more realistic, if you will. And we're almost done with the supports. It didn't take me too long, again, because of the pre-saved design option. I was able to save a lot of time, especially with those steel girders for the lift hill and the looping and the turnaround into the two loopings. So there you go. I'm going to go for the station, and the station is going to get a simple but compact design. It can't be too big because it has to fit in between the loopings and the lift hill, so it's just going to be 3 blocks. And this is going to use no custom scenery apart from the station blocks, if you will. I'm just going to use a simple roof structure and also some simple stock girders, if you will. But it looks kind of nice. This is again a design I used many times, but it just looks nice. So also going to add the catwalk here, of course. Just like I do with any roller coaster. So I'm also going to add the catwalk for the entire lift hill, of course. I'm going to recolor that a little bit. There we go. I'm going to go all the way up, just like a real roller coaster. Make sure that's nice. And of course, a bit of a catwalk for the mid-course brake runoff. And then after that, I'm going to change the queue a little bit. And from here on out, we're going to tackle the paths. Now, I said this before in a few videos, but I'll repeat it again. In Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, you cannot make diagonal paths, nor can you in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2. But there's a mod in RCT3 that allows you to make diagonal paths. Now, the guests can't walk on this, but it makes the path look a million times better, if you ask me. If you check it out now compared to what we started with, this is miles better. So definitely worth the time. It's pretty simple to use, and like I said, it just really enhances the look of your park and just anything you have when it comes to paths. So I always make a bit of a gathering area or a rest area in the middle of right next to the entrance of the roller coasters. We're going to do that, and also a nice garden where the corkscrews are. So that is now done. So let's go ahead and move on to the fences, because trying to make it somewhat realistic. So I want the roller coaster area to be fenced off, because it wouldn't make much sense if the guests could just walk up, go off the path and walk up to the roller coaster. That would of course not make any sense, and it would of course be super dangerous if you would be able to do that in real life. So Gotta make sure we're gonna try and mimic that. And again, I'm using my own pre-made fences, because the stock fences in RCT3, they cannot go diagonal. And mine, of course, can, which, you know, really nicely accommodates the diagonal paths that I also have with Beastie's Path Mod, it's called. It's a really nice add-on. Just gonna finish the fences here. And yeah, it's all coming together quite nicely. Pretty much done for the most part. And I'm also going to add a few just, you know, facilities like drinks, fries, burgers, pizza, some toilets, you know, just to make sure the guests have the basic things. And yeah, again, not going to invest a lot of time into that, because I'm not building a real park. It's just to kind of accommodate the coaster, if you will. So I'm going to put down some handymen, which again, you know, is not the most exciting task, but just to make sure the paths keep clean. It also just takes a few minutes, so, you know, it's not that big of a time investment. And I'm going to finish off the paths, and then of course finish the fences. So that is now done, looking quite nicely. Going to save that real quick, and then we're going to move on to the benches. So make sure to place that. Of course, a lot of benches at the gathering area, and of course the corkscrew, so people can chill and watch the coaster fly by. And of course a few litter bins or garbage bins, so people can throw away their trash. And last but not least, of course, some foliage. Now I'm not going to completely fill the map with foliage, because unfortunately RCT3, the FPS or the frame rate kind of tanks if you place a lot of objects in the park, regardless if you have a really powerful PC. It's just the game isn't optimized that well. So I'm just going to place some trees around the roller coaster, and that's it. So again, the main focus is just the roller coaster, nothing else. So this will do for now. And man, we've come quite far considering how we started. And that's pretty much it. We are now done with the Arrow Mega Looper, and I think it looks quite awesome, if you ask me. I think it pretty much ticks most of the boxes when it comes to what a realistic Arrow Mega Looper is. Meaning we got that, we got a kind of a basic layout, a track layout, if you will. We got some basic elements like a couple of loopings, some corkscrews that go over the path, which is also a classic kind of aerodynamics feature, if you will. We have the steel girders for the higher supports in the loopings, which is also what you see. The loopings are much higher, like kind of awkwardly high. Again, this is also an iconic thing that you see in old school Arrow loopers. And the rest is just, yeah, I think it looks really nicely. I think it looks really nice. Took me quite a while to make this, but it was well worth it, because I have a weak spot for these type of coasters. So yeah, without further ado, here is some extra footage, and of course the POV. Enjoy. And there you go, guys, a classic old school Arrow Mega Looper in RCT3. I hope you guys enjoyed the POV and the building time lapse. Hope you guys maybe learned a few things. And yeah, I hope I was able to recreate a proper one and kind of, you know, copy paste the formula in RCT3. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.